Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening from wherever you are watching. My name is Delvin Wanani, and today I want to take you through Kcse Paper 1, Biology 2023, my first prediction. Let us remember to subscribe, let us remember to follow, remember to comment, share, so that we can reach as many people as possible. So ladies and gentlemen, this is my first prediction, Kcse Biology Paper 1, 2023. And I will be taking you from question 1 to the last question. So let us go to the classroom. Now, Kcse Biology Paper 1, 2023, Predictor 1, I prepared some sample questions which looks like as follows. Question number 1, state 2 features of leaves which enable a plant to reduce the loss of water. We're asking for the features of that plant which enables a plant to reduce the loss of water. And therefore, one of them is it has what we call sunken stomatas. And also it has what we call leaves which look like needles, so needle-like leaves. Number 2, state the phylum where all members have open circulatory system. State the phylum where all members have open circulatory system. And this one is definitely the phylum Arthropoda, but we don't accept Arthropoda, so be very careful with an N here, and also arthropods. We don't accept arthropods. Now, explain 2 advantages of closed circulatory system over open circulatory system. Advantages of closed circulatory system over open circulatory system. Oxygenated and deoxygenated blood are completely separate, and therefore they do not mix. They do not mix. Number 2, blood flow to organ is well regulated based on demands. And then number 3, animals tend to be more active. Why? This is due to efficient transport of gases and nutrients. So animals with open circulatory system, they are more active than those ones who have closed circulatory system. Why? It's because of the efficient transport of gases and nutrients. Also, blood circulates over a longer distance, and therefore it's also at a faster rate due to the high blood pressure. Number 3, under which of the following magnifications will one see a larger part of a specimen? Times 40 or times 500? And in that question, you also be asked to give a reason. Times 40, it's the answer. And this is because it's a lower magnification, and that's giving a wider view, State how magnification is worked out in a light microscope. State how magnification is worked out in a light microscope. This is the formula. Magnification is equals to the eyepiece lens. You can also say the eyepiece lens magnification times the objective lens or the objective lens magnification. Name 2 components of blood that are not present in glomerular filtrate. And these are 1, plasma proteins, 2, blood cells. The following is an equation representing a type of respiration. And this is it, where we have C6H12O6, then we have C3C6O3 plus energy. First question, identify the type of respiration. Identify the type of respiration. And this is anaerobic respiration in animals. Anaerobic respiration in animals. Why? Because of presence of this substance C3, H6, and O3. But we reject anaerobic respiration alone. Remember, the anaerobic respiration in animals and anaerobic respiration in plants is different because of the end products. In animals, the end product, we have lactic acid plus energy. This is lactic acid plus energy. But in plants, we have ethanol or alcohol plus energy. So that's why you have to be very specific. It is anaerobic respiration in animals. Suggest one industry application of the process named in A above. Suggest one industry application of the process named in A above. And I'll suggest quite a number, and these are as follows. 1, beer brewing, bread baking, or what we call leavening of bread, processing of dairy products. We also have biogas production, sewage treatment, manufacture of wines and spirits, and then production of organic acids. We mark any first one. What is meant by the term binomial nomenclature? What is meant by the term binomial nomenclature? This is a scientific system of giving organisms, or what we call living organisms, two names. It is a scientific system of giving living organisms two names. That is, one is generic name and the other one is specific name. A dog is called Canis familiaris. Name the taxonomic units represented by Canis. A dog is called Canis familiaris. Name the taxonomic unit represented by Canis. That is a genus. I've said we have two: genus name and a specific name. Give two functions of the exoskeleton in arthropods. Give two functions of exoskeleton in arthropods. Now, one is to protect the inner delicate tissues and also those organs against what we call mechanical damage. And number two is to prevent water loss, or what we call desiccation. And also it provides sites for muscle attachment. Provides site for muscle attachment. The color of tips, as question number 8, the color of tips of hair in shepherd dog is controlled by a gene with 3 alleles: B for black, R for red, and C for copper. A cross between pure breeding red and copper hair tips produce offspring with scarlet hair tips. Crossing pure breeding red and black hair tips yields all red offspring. Remember again, but a cross between pure breeds of copper and black produced offspring that are all copper. That are all copper. So question, comment on the inheritance of the 3 alleles, B, R, and C. From what I've given you there, that where a cross between pure breeding red and copper hair tips will produce offspring with scarlet hair tips. But crossing pure breeding red and black hair tips yields all red offspring. and then a cross between pure breeds of copper and black produce offspring that are all copper. So I want to comment on the inheritance of the three alleles, B, R, and C. And this is R and C are co-dominant, but R and C are dominant over B. A dog breeder wishes to know the genotype of a dog with red hair tips. State and explain the cross needed to determine the dog's genotype. And this is a test cross. Test cross. That is, a dog with red hair tips will be crossed with a black dog. That is in what we're calling the homozygous recessive. Now, what is the importance of seed dispersal? What is the importance of seed dispersal? One, it avoids overcrowding. It also enables plants to inhabit. It also enables plants to inhabit new habitats, and also avoids competition for nutrients and also for light. Stage two, adaptation of guard cells to its function. Number one, they have many chloroplasts for photosynthesis. I'm talking about the guard cells. They have so many chloroplasts for photosynthesis. They have also a thick inner wall than the outer wall. Why? To enhance what we call stomata openings. Remember, when during the opening of the stomata, when it draws in water, the outer membrane, which is thinner, will bulge faster than the inner membrane, which is thick, and therefore it will enhance what we call stomatal opening. Describe the sensor mechanism of seed dispersal. Describe the sensor mechanism of seed dispersal. Now, fruits with a capsule shape. Now, the capsule is usually attached to what we call a long stalk, and when swayed by wind, the seeds are released and scattered. The seeds are released and scattered. Explain struggle for existence and survival of the fittest as they apply to natural selection. Number one, struggle for existence. Struggle for existence. Now, it doesn't look the way it is that we struggle to exist, but this is where the environmental pressure on the population causes competition within the population in an effort to do what? To survive. Why? It's because of the environmental pressure. It can be because of nutrients. It can be because of a certain supply of maybe an important factor. And therefore, the environmental pressure within the organism will force the organism to compete for that necessity. And as a result, it will lead to what we call struggle for existence. Number two, survival of the fittest. Now, individuals with now advantageous variations will survive in any competition, but purely adapted individuals will perish and will not transmit those characteristics. But remember, we accept any other word to that effect. That is, you can explain in any way you wish to explain. But what is important, we want to see that in a competition, those living organisms with purely variations or disadvantageous variations will definitely not be able to survive. Question number 13. Define the term incomplete metamorphosis. Incomplete metamorphosis. This is development in some insects involving the egg, nymph, and adult. Egg, nymph, and adult. State one function of each of the following hormones. State one function of each of the following hormones. And these hormones are, number one, we have juvenile hormone. We're giving one function. It helps in the formation of larval cuticle. It also helps in the retention of juvenile characteristics. We have another one known as ecdysone. Now, ecdysone helps in what you call molting of insects. Molting of insects done by ecdysone hormone. Name the organelle where the cell wall components are synthesized. Name the organelle where the cell wall components are synthesized. And this is Golgi body or apparatus or chloroplast. State two roles of cell wall to a plant. State two roles of cell wall to a plant. Number one, it maintains the shape of the cell. Remember, the plant cell have a definite shape, but an animal cell do not have a definite shape. That one is because of the cell wall. Number two, it prevents cell from bursting when turgid. When the cell, remember the animal cell will burst when turgid, but plant cell do not burst. Plant cell do not burst. Why? It's because of the cell wall. Number three, it is fully permeable and therefore allowing materials to pass through. It is fully permeable and therefore allows material to pass through. Now, the diagram below represents a section. This is question number 15. The diagram below represents a section through the mammalian ear. Now, we have those sections starting from Q. Q is here. Then we have R. R is here. S is here. And then T is here. So, question. Name the structures labeled R and T. Name the structures labeled R and T. R is the eustachian tube. R, start from R. R, this one, is the eustachian tube, and we understand the eustachian tube which regulates pressure within the middle ear and the environment. And then T is a semicircular canal. T is semicircular canals. State how the structures Q and S are adapted to their functions. State how the structures Q and S are adapted to their function. Let's start with Q. Q, it is a funnel shaped to concentrate sounds to the external auditory meters. What about S? S is a long and spiral and also coiled to increase surface area for attachment of many sensory cells that will detect sound vibrations. Remember, this is a place where sound vibrations are detected, and therefore it must have what we call sensory cells. It also has numerous sensory cells in the organ of the cortex that are stimulated by vibrations received from the oval window. It is also filled with fluid. We call it the fluid part, which contain perilymph and endolymph, which transmit sound vibration from oval window to the sensory cells. Remember, anytime you mention perilymph, you must also mention endolymph. If you must mention, then you must mention both of them. But you can simply say it is fluid filled. Now, the diagram below represents some gaseous exchange structures in humans. We are looking at those structures. Question number A. Name the structure label K. Name the structure label K. This structure here. Structure label K. This is a pleural membrane. It's a pleural membrane. This is a pleural membrane. State two ways in which the structure labeled J is suited to its function. So J is here. This is J. This is J. How is it suited to its function? Number one, it has C-shaped cartilage rings that support it, preventing it from collapsing and allow free flow of air. Its inner lining has mucus secreting cells, we call them the goblet cells, that secrete mucus, which trap fine dust particles and microorganisms. Its inner lining has hair-like structures called cilia that enhance upward movement of the mucus to the larynx. Name the process by which inhaled air moves from the structure labeled L into the blood capillaries. Name the process by which inhaled air moves from the structure labeled L into the blood capillaries. And this is by diffusion. Give the scientific name of the organism that causes tuberculosis in human. Give the scientific name of organism that causes tuberculosis in human. And this is Mycobacterium tuberculosis. Mycobacterium tuberculosis. Now, the diagram below represents the anterior view. The diagram below represents the anterior view of a certain vertebra. That is it. We can look at that one. First question, with a reason, identify the type of vertebra shown. What type of vertebra is shown? What type of this vertebra it is? Looking at that vertebra, it is a lumbar vertebra. Lumbar vertebra. Why? Because it has a large, broad transverse process. It has a large, broad transverse process. It also has a large neural spine. It also has a broad centrum. And it has metapophysis. Name the parts labeled A. That is a neural spine. D is a neural canal. State the function of part E. And that it supports the trunk. It has stomata for efficient diffusion of gases. Number two, it is thin to allow gases to diffuse through short distances. Number three, it has air spaces for easy circulation of gases. And number four, it has a broad and flat lamina to provide large surface area for absorption of light. We mark the first three. What is the importance of pollen tube in fertilization in plants? What is the importance of the pollen tube in fertilization in plants? Pollen tube helps in the passage of the male nuclei to reach the ovum in the ovary. That is the major function of the pollen tube. Number 20, the following are events suggested by the theory of natural selection. Number 1, reproduction of organisms with favorable variation, the emergence of new species, variation between individuals, struggle for existence, and then the survival of the fittest or survival to the fittest. Question number 1, who postulated the theory of natural selection? And this was done by Charles Darwin. What is meant by the term natural selection? I had already discussed earlier. It's a process by which the environment allows those organisms with favorable adaptive characteristics to survive and reach maturity, and in that case pass all those favorable traits to their offspring. But those without the favorable traits will die young without passing on to the next generation. Arranged in an order, the best illustration that illustrates the sequence of events leading to evolution by natural selection. And that is, we start with number 3, number 4, number 5, number 1, and number 2. The diagram below represents or shows a vertical section through a human brain. That is it. We have J, N, K, and L. So question, name the part labeled K. Name the part labeled K. That is cerebellum. Cerebellum. State why the part labeled J is large and highly folded. State why the part labeled J is large and highly folded. The reason is to increase surface area for accommodation of more neurons for processing impulses. Give a letter on the diagram which, number 1, serve as an endocrine gland. Serve as an endocrine gland, and that one is N. Control breathing, swallowing, and blood circulation. That one is L. Now, the diagram below shows part of a nephron from the human kidney. This part of a nephron from the human kidney, and those are the parts which have been mentioned there, R and P. Now, the first question, name the structure labeled R. Name the structure labeled R. That is glomerulus, but we reject glomeruli. It is glomerulus. Name the process carried out at P. It is selective reabsorption. Selective reabsorption. The hormone ADH affects water reabsorption from the nephron. Now, which part of the brain releases ADH? That is antidiuretic hormone. It is the pituitary gland. Name a part of the nephron where water is reabsorbed. Name a part of the nephron where water is reabsorbed. That is the loop of Henle. We also accept Henle's loop. We also accept distal convoluted tubule and also collecting duct. Remember, all these ones, they perform water reabsorption, but it's largely done in the loop of Henle. The diagram below illustrates a food web in a certain ecosystem. The diagram below illustrates a food web in a certain ecosystem. You can look at that. From the food web, from the food web, number 1, draw the shortest food chain. draw the shortest food chain. And this is grass eaten by grasshopper, which is eaten by lizard. Identify the organism with the highest number of predators. Identify the organism with the highest number of predators, and that is chicken. That is chicken according to this food web. The highest biomass, definitely it is grass. Grass will have the highest biomass. The diagram below represents a certain organism collected by a student at the seashore. Look at that organism. The first question they're asking, name the class to which the organism belongs. The organism belongs to class Crustacea. Class Crustacea. Give 3 reasons for your answer in A above. And one is it has a fuse. The head is fused with a thorax. It also has a cephalothorax. It has a cephalothorax. It has 2 pairs of antennae or antennae. It has a compound eye, a pair of compound eyes. It has 5 to 20 pairs of limbs. 5 to 20 pairs of limbs. And it have what we call external gills. Look at that one, you see it has external gills. In an experiment, question number 25, in an experiment, disinfection-soaked bean seeds were put in a vacuum flask, which was then fitted with a thermometer as shown in the diagram below. So we have thermometer, we have the cotton wool, vacuum flask, cotton wool, and then disinfected soaked bean seeds. First question, the temperature reading were taken every morning for 3 consecutive days. Now, which process was being investigated? Which process was being investigated? And this is respiration. When heat, temperature, and then there's germination of seeds, something to do with seeds which have been soaked, then it has to do with respiration. But we reject external respiration, we reject anaerobic respiration. But we accept aerobic respiration. What were the expected results? What were the expected results? Rise or an increase in thermometer or temperature reading. There will be a rise or an increase in thermometer or temperature reading. Account for the answer. Why the rise in temperature? Why the rise in temperature? And the answer is because the stored starch or glucose in the germinating seeds will be broken down, or in simple terms, say it will be oxidized to release energy. And some of the energy is released to get energy. So some of the energy is released as heat. That's why the temperature will be rising. The diagram below shows a specialized plant cell. The diagram below shows a specialized plant cell. You can look at that one. Question, name the cell. Name the cell. And therefore the cell is a root hair cell. Root hair cell. Name the part, name the cell parts labeled D and E. Name the cell parts labeled D and E. D is the cell wall and E is the cell sap. D is the cell wall and E is the cell sap, or you can say the cell vacuole. State, question number B, state the function of the part labeled C. It controls the functioning of the cell and also controls the cell activity. Controls the functioning of the cell and the cell activity. That one brings us to the end of our first prediction revision, and I'll be sharing more and more predictions. Remember to subscribe, remember to share, remember to comment, to follow, and let us reach as many people as possible. Otherwise, thank you very much and God bless you.